Have you ever wondered why the dollar holds such a dominant position in the world economy? It's a question that has puzzled many a mind, even those well-versed in the intricacies of global economics. To answer it, we must delve into a story that's as fascinating as it is complex. Let's take a step back to the very beginning. The dollar didn't just appear one day fully formed and accepted by all. It was a result of a series of events, decisions, and agreements, each playing its part in shaping the narrative. Its journey began in the late 18th century, with the United States on the cusp of a new era, following its independence from British rule. The need for a national currency was evident, and thus, the dollar was born. But the birth of the dollar was just the first step. Acceptance as a medium of exchange didn't come overnight. It took time, trust, and a fair bit of persuasion. The dollar had to prove its worth, its stability, and its reliability. And it did. Over time, it gained the confidence of the people, the businesses, and eventually, the world. The dollar's journey didn't stop there. As the United States grew in power and influence, so did its currency. The dollar began to play a more significant role in global trade, becoming the preferred currency for international transactions. Its dominance was further cemented by the gold standard, a system where the value of a currency was directly linked to gold. The dollar was the currency that was as good as gold. And so, the dollar's dominance in the world economy was not a random event. It was a carefully orchestrated dance, a series of moves and countermoves that led to its ascension. Each step, each decision, each agreement played a role in shaping the dollar's story and its position in the world today. To understand this phenomenon, we must journey back to the birth of the dollar. So buckle up as we delve deeper into this intriguing tale of economic power and global influence. The dollar wasn't always the powerhouse it is today. It had humble beginnings. In the late 18th century, a new nation was taking shape. The United States of America, fresh from its victory in the Revolutionary War, needed a currency to unify its disparate states and foster economic growth. Thus, in 1792, the dollar was born. The Coinage Act of 1792 established the dollar as the standard unit of money in the United States. This legislation also set the dollar's value. It wasn't arbitrary or left to the whims of the market. Instead, it was pegged to a specific quantity of precious metals. A dollar was defined as either 24 3/4 grains of gold or 416 grains of silver. This gave the currency stability and trustworthiness, essential attributes for any aspiring global currency. In its infancy, the dollar was used primarily within the United States. It was the means by which goods and services were exchanged, debts were settled, and wealth was stored. But its use was not yet widespread. The United States was still a young nation, its economy small compared to the established powers of Europe. The dollar was a local currency, used by a local population. Yet from these modest beginnings, the dollar was set on a trajectory that would see it become the world's dominant currency. It was not an overnight transformation. It took decades of economic growth, political stability, and strategic decisions to elevate the dollar to its current status. The dollar's journey is a testament to the power of economic forces and the importance of strategic decision-making. It shows how a currency, once used only within the borders of a single nation, can become the preferred medium of exchange for billions of people around the world. But it was a series of historical events that catapulted the dollar to its current status. World War I marked a turning point for the dollar. As the world plunged into the depths of warfare, the economic landscape was irrevocably altered. European countries, the traditional powers of the world, were left staggering under the weight of massive war debts. Where did they turn for financial succor? The United States. The war had fundamentally changed the world order, and the dollar was at the heart of this transformation. As European countries borrowed heavily to finance their war efforts, they did so in the currency that was becoming increasingly dominant, the dollar. This turn of events led to a massive influx of gold into the United States, further solidifying the dollar's position. The war also marked the beginning of the United States as a global economic power. No longer just a burgeoning industrial nation, the United States had become the world's banker. This role reversal was significant. For centuries, European empires had been the economic powerhouses, but the devastation of war had weakened them. The United States, in contrast, emerged from the conflict economically stronger, and so, the dollar took the stage. As the world started to rebuild in the aftermath of the war, the dollar held sway. It was no longer just another currency, it had become a key global currency. The greenback had taken the lead role in the global economic theater, and it was a role it would not relinquish easily. But this was not the end of the story. The dollar's ascendance was not merely a result of war debts. It was also a consequence of the shrewd economic policies and strategic decisions made by the United States. The country had positioned itself as the lender of last resort, and the dollar was its tool. Yet the real game changer was still to come. In 1944, leaders from all over the world gathered in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. Their mission? To design a new financial order after the devastation of World War II. This historic meeting, known as the Bretton Woods Conference, was attended by representatives of 44 nations, and it would forever change the landscape of international economics. The Bretton Woods Agreement, as it came to be known, established the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. But it wasn't just the dollar's newfound status that was significant. It was the decision to back the dollar with gold that truly set the stage for its dominance. This move effectively created a gold standard, where each dollar was equivalent to a specific amount of gold. But why the dollar? Well, at the end of World War II, the United States was the world's largest creditor nation and held the majority of the world's gold reserves. By tying the value of the dollar to gold, and then tying other currencies to the dollar, the Bretton Woods Agreement created a stable and predictable international monetary system. This system benefited countries around the world. For countries with weaker economies, it provided a stable currency to which they could peg their own. For stronger economies, it created a reliable system of international trade and investment. But the Bretton Woods system was not without its critics. Some argued that it gave too much power to the United States, effectively making it the world's economic policeman. Others pointed out that the system was inherently unstable, as it relied on the US maintaining its gold reserves. Despite these criticisms, the Bretton Woods Agreement was a milestone in economic history. It laid the groundwork for the world we know today, where the dollar reigns supreme as the world's reserve currency. But as we'll see, this agreement didn't mark the end of the dollar's story. Far from it. This agreement cemented the dollar's dominance, but its reign was not unchallenged. Fast forward to today, where the dollar's position is both influential and controversial. The dollar remains the world's primary reserve currency, a testament to its enduring strength. Yet, its dominance isn't as absolute as it once was. The landscape of global finance is shifting, and with it, the role of the dollar is evolving. The rise of the euro and the yuan pose significant challenges to the dollar's supremacy. These currencies have emerged as formidable contenders, bolstered by the growing economic clout of the European Union and China. The euro in particular has made significant strides in the past 2 decades. It's now used in more than 20 countries, and it's the second most held reserve currency worldwide. The yuan too is gaining ground. China's continued economic growth and its expanding role in global trade have given the yuan a boost. While it still has a long way to go before it can rival the dollar, its progress is noteworthy. These developments don't just challenge the dollar's dominance, they also have broader implications. If the dollar were to lose its status as the world's primary reserve currency, the US could face higher borrowing costs and a reduced ability to influence global economic policy. On the flip side, a shift away from the dollar could also allow other economies to play a more significant role on the global stage. It's crucial to remember that the story of the dollar is still unfolding. Its position today is the result of centuries of economic, political, and social shifts. And as the world continues to change, so too will the role of the dollar. As we've seen, the dollar's journey to dominance has been a complex and fascinating one. It's a story that's far from over, and one that we'll continue to watch with great interest.